Welcome back to my channel, In-Flight Music. If you're new here, my name is Ian, and today we're starting a brand new series. I just wrapped up my coloration and hardware emulation plugin series. I'll leave a link to that playlist down below in case you want to check that out. But this new series is covering MIDI plugins. I know a lot of beginners that are starting music production. A lot of them are lacking in the whole music theory space. These MIDI plugins can actually help fill in those gaps, not just to help you with your music production in the present, but also in the future, because a lot of these plugins can help teach you in terms of becoming a little more familiar with terminology and concepts. This first plugin is called Captain Chords, and it's from Mixed in Key, and it's actually a part of a MIDI plugin bundle that actually contains all of the Captain plugins. So when you get Captain Chords, you actually get Captain Beat, Captain Deep, Captain Melody, and Captain Play. But for now, let's just focus on Captain Chords. When you open it up for the first time, this screen will pop up and it'll let you select your key if you even know what key you want to start with. If not, it's not a big deal, but I like to write in E minor and it'll pull up this screen. It looks complicated, but I promise you within 10 seconds, you'll get it completely and it'll be easy breezy from here. You have a piano roll right here, but don't treat it like FL's piano roll where you go in and make your notes. If you were to do that, you might as well just use FL's piano roll, right? So this has an advantage. So it makes the chords for you, which is why it's called Captain Chords. Most of you are working with 4-bar chord progressions, so let's just make a 4-bar chord progression. So just to add extra chords, you just hit this plus sign. Boom, we have 4 chords in 4 bars. So how would you go about changing these? Well, up here, they have all the chords here for you, and these are all based off of whatever scale you picked at the very beginning. And of course, you could always go in and change this. They always start you with the root chord, which is a pretty safe bet to start with. And it has all the 7 chords here listed for you that are in your scale, and then the variations of those chords. Let's just go through them real quick. Here's your main chord. And you can see that it changes as we click through. And like I said, you have all the variations that you can select. And then you could go into the piano roll and select any of these chords and change them to whatever you'd like. And now we have So let's really hack this though. Say you really don't know what chords you want where because you're not familiar with chord progressions and you're just not familiar with certain vibes and you're not in tune with the feelings and emotions that you get with various chords. Well, they'll have a bunch of suggestions here for you with progression. So click here and you'll have chord progressions that actually make sense with the key that you're in. That was some James Bond right there. So yeah, you could actually go through and just cycle from here as well. You also want to press play so that these actually sync up to the chords inside of the piano roll inside of Captain Chords. One other thing that I noticed, if you start adding extra sections here, so if you select the split and then you go back into these progressions, it'll actually change up the progression for you a little bit. So even though it didn't say that it has that extra chord in that progression, it still somehow intelligently changes the chords here for you. So that's pretty cool. Another thing that's really intelligent about this is this minimize leap section, or function I should say. So if you select default triad or first inversion, second inversion, these are the types of leaps that the progression will make when it goes from one chord to the next. I always recommend using minimize leap. It tends to make the most sense musically. But then from there, you could actually adjust the timing too. So if we go into these different timings, And right now we're on slow changes. We could go to normal or fast. That sounds cool. And then they have rhythm, which is something that I've talked about in my previous chord progression tutorials. You'll actually get different rhythms within the chord timings that you decided on. So you have basic, simple, complex, that's more dance music for sure. And then a section that just says new. I'm just going to leave it on chord change for now. And then from there, we actually have some humanization right here. So spacing, leave little gaps at the end. And then you have options with that too. So you have smart legato, percentage, and then different lengths of that. A strum tool, which is great for giving a more natural feel, especially for guitar and plucked instruments. Right now the strums are alternating, but you could have them all go down or all go up. And then you have swing as well. You'll notice that I didn't have to explain any routing or anything like that. And that's because typically most MIDI plugins will require you to route the MIDI to some other plugin to actually get your audio, but this plugin actually has the audio built inside of it. You could actually use your own VSTs, or you could use their built-in presets. Right now it's on piano strings. Let's pull up some plucks. And you could hear their really quality sounds for sure. But if for some reason you don't want to use the plugins inside of Captain Chords or the sounds inside of Captain Chords, you could always just drag this MIDI onto any of your individual channels inside of your channel rack or whatever DAW that you're using as well. And voila, we have all of our MIDI with all of the humanization that we added. And from there, you could add whatever plugin that you'd like. Two other things that I wanted to point out is that you actually have this play section that lets you use your MIDI keyboard or computer keyboard, but also there's a verse section, pre-chorus, chorus, and a drop in case you want to switch up your chord progressions. You'll notice that this actually is available in all their plugins. So if you have multiple ideas, it's really easy for you to sketch these down and not really worry about losing your information or quickly going back to whatever it was that you were working on before. And then the last thing that I want to point out is once you have your chords figured out, you could always go in here and you could always extend those chords out into richer chords, but they will be based off of the chords that you chose in the first place. So I always start off with my triads. So from here, we have our basic triad. We can increase the complexity. Let's just go to 5. So now all these chords will have a lot more richness to them, a lot more depth to them, I should say. The one issue that I do have with this plugin is that I can't just simply highlight all these and change the complexity of all of them at the same time. Instead, I have to do what I just showed you and click on each of these sections one at a time. I'm going to go deeper into the manual and see if that's something that I have to live with. But until then, if you have any questions, definitely comment down below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.